Hey guys, welcome back to Magic the Gathering Online. Speculation, Economics, and Finance. One of these days I'll actually figure out how to pronounce our intro title right. So anyway, today I want to cover some of the specs that I've been talking about in the last couple of episodes, do a little accountability here, see how my recommendations have been panning out, give you a few little updates, and then go from there. I'm not really going to make any calls today. Mostly just kind of revisiting some past calls, and then later this week I'll give you some more specs to look at. So let's start out, take a look at Preordained. I was talking about how you could pick this thing up. I was, just buying a play set or two between 30 and 40 cents, somewhere around the 15th. I forget exactly when it was. You can check when that video was uploaded. But anyway, so since then this says that it bounced up to 90 cents yesterday. This is a little bit off because it was actually, you can't see this on the chart here, but it actually got up to like 97 cents or somewhere in there. But then by the end of the day it fell back down a little bit. And these charts from day to day just capture, they don't track it hour by hour, they track it day by day for their charting. So you're not going to get the exact specificity you might want. Anyway, I remember checking, whatever day it was, yesterday or day before, somewhere in there. The buy list, though, which is what we really care about, bumped up over 60 cents. So, I was telling you could buy them around 40 cents or whatever. I guess even 50 cents if you want. You're going to be able to sell them for 60 cents, and I was right about that. It's trended back down, hit a little flat line here, but, you can just see this pattern just repeating like clockwork. And we didn't get as high of a plateau here, but never fret. If you want to pick up some preordains on the cheap, do not buy it a day at 67 cents. If this pattern continues, then it should get a little bit cheaper. And if you just want to pick some up to play with them, definitely wait till it gets down, around 50 cents or cheaper. If you want to try to make a few tickets on the next cycle, then just wait for this to fall back down between 30 and 40 cents on the price, and you can pick up as many as you can and sell them again for 60 cents most likely. So if you got in on any of that, and you probably stood to make some tickets, and if you missed this selling opportunity and you're coming back down, don't panic sell now or anything. Even if you bought at 40 cents, don't sell for 44 cents or 45 cents. Just wait another couple days or another couple weeks. It's going to have another upswing and you can make some more. On Cletus, I was telling you this last week you could pick up Cletus. I forget, we were around 12.13, somewhere in there, and now he's up to 15.57. And I was telling people, hey, if you want to get in on the cheap, now is the time, and I was correct. Now, Cletus is tricky. Right now, we have no clue where the metagame is really at. It's just kind of this funky place where, we don't have all the information yet about the next set, even though we do have a lot of information from leaks 2 sets out. We're just in this fuzzy place right now where we've had the banning of Aetherworks Marvel. We haven't had any major standard tournaments yet, and a lot of people are just trying to figure out what's going on. So, if Cletus doesn't hit with the next big standard event, there's a chance his price could stagnate or fall again. However, there's not necessarily any one way to handle this. Personally, once it gets just a little bit higher, I'm going to get out. Once the buy list price gets over 16 or gets close to that, I'm probably ready to go ahead and get out. But you could hold on and see, because it just depends a lot on the cards that we see spoiled, and the next Pro Tour results that come out, you could wait till then too if you want, but it's certainly a gamble depending on what you think's going to happen with the meta. But I feel like right now, there's still room for Cletus to still go up, because in a vacuum no one knows what to do, and a lot of people are going to go back and test powerful cards that have been impactful in the past. Cletus is definitely one of those cards. So who knows? I definitely, wouldn't just be selling these just yet. I still think there's a little more upside potential. And if you still need to buy a play set of these, it kind of depends on what you're looking to do with them. But if you're going to need to start playing with them relatively soon, you might need to go ahead and buy them now. But if you think it's still going to be maybe a month or two before you really need them, you might wait, because I could see the price retrenching a little bit between now and then. So anyway, that's Cletus. Gideon had gone up. The price hasn't really moved much from, after I picked mine up. I still haven't sold my 12 copies that I was just picking up before the ban announcement. And while the price hasn't moved much as far as the retail price, the buy list price has been evening out a lot. I forget, it was around 16, 17 tickets or something like that. And I had mentioned that I was going to hold on to these and sell them at 20 tickets or somewhere around there. And I don't know, I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem unloading these at 20, but I just don't see a reason to right now. I mean, Vehicles is a very solid deck. Gideon's well positioned. He's being played in several different deck lists that are all relevant right now. And I think when the dust clears, unless something really shifts with the spoilers for the next set, Gideon's still going to be in a pretty good position. So, I don't know, maybe it's greedy, but I still want to see him go up a little bit more before I unload these, or get some sense from more spoilers that there's some other powerful stuff coming online that's going to render him irrelevant. But, I mean, that'd be a little unusual. Gideon stayed pretty relevant for most of his life in Standard. So, Ishkanah, this is one where I was definitely off as far as, min-max and getting in at the perfect time. On my last week's show, I had talked about how getting in around 5 seemed like a good idea, but clearly the price has dipped, retrenched, and coming back up. I still say if you are wanting to pick up some of these, this is a pretty reasonable time. I just think that Black Green Delirium is, over time, is going to be back in the hunt of being a real reasonable deck, and I just can't see this card not seeing more play than it's been seeing. And I don't see the price falling back to near the all-time low levels, and it's still reasonably cheap. I don't know about speccing on these too hard. I think there's definitely some upside room, but I don't see this card being the best target for your money. But if you need to get some of these, definitely get in, and you can go from there. Lastly, I want to talk a little bit. This 4-color energy deck right now is one of the top decks in the meta. So what's interesting is Glorybringer is a card that I had kind of identified previously for you guys as a card to keep an eye on. And it's a rare in the set that's currently being drafted a lot, but it certainly started to just kind of bounce up just a little bit. It was just kind of hanging out around $2 for several days, and then spiked up to $3.40, and now it's kind of hanging out over $3 now, after it had spent most of its time below $2.50 over, I don't know, over the last month. It's spent a lot more time closer to $2 than $3. So here we are. Glorybringer is a weird situation because it's a rare, it's being heavily drafted. I mean, at $3.26, you might actually, I still think this could see another retrenching point, as people are still not sure what to do. It does cost 5. It's got double red in the cost. It's a 4/4. So I don't know. It's kind of weird trying to figure out exactly. But it's a powerful card, and if you want to play with these, this is not a horrible price to get in at. It's gonna be a relevant card. But if you're not in a rush, you might wait a little bit. It's just with the cost and the double red and everything, even though it's very powerful, and it's only a rare and not a mythic, I could see it falling back to $2 somewhere over the next couple of weeks as well. So it's kind of still just one of those cards. I'm just kind of still taking a wait and see approach. I'm not making any moves myself, and just thought I'd share that with you. As far as this 4-color energy deck, I think this is going to be a real deck going forward. And one of the things that's really interesting about this deck is it's currently being shown on MTG Goldfish to be the #1 deck in the meta next to green-black energy. So we see a couple of energy decks at the top. You can see some of the 5-0 results that are being published here. We got Mardu Vehicles, green-black energy, 4-color energy showing up here. 4-color energy, 4-color energy. So you can see 4-color energy is really coming in with some results. It's not like it's not like overwhelmingly dominating the meta. It's really just got a little more share than green-black energy. But what's really interesting about this deck is the price. It's not necessarily the most uncommon thing, but it's also not every day that the #1 deck in the meta is actually pretty cheap compared to all the other top 8 options. I mean, 126 tickets is stupid cheap for what's clearly a good and powerful deck. And we see this isn't just some online phenomenon either, because when we look at some results going back to earlier this month, 4-color energy posted a 5th place finish when Marvel was still in the meta. Now, some decks get their power and their performance and their finishes off the back of just the uniqueness of the metagame being warped by, other strong decks. So, I mean, once you ban Aetherworks Marvel, there's a possibility that somehow the rippling butterfly effect will impact 4-color energy, rendering it no longer a viable deck. But clearly that's not the case when this deck is still showing up as a top contender in Standard and Magic Online events. So this is a good solid deck if you want to buy in on something. The deck is mostly made up of cards that are going to stay relevant post-rotation. I mean, when you look at the whole list, this is just a whole lot of the newer cards that are going to stick around. You've got a tireless tracker, and then you're going to have to rebalance some game trails. But I mean, it's absurd how many of the cards in this deck are still going to be standard legal even after the upcoming rotation that we hit in September. So, if you want to buy in on a good, solid, cheap standard deck with a lot of power that's reasonably priced, this is it. When you buy that deck and you grind out a lot of tickets, well, that's what this show is all about here on Magic the Gathering, finance, economics, and speculation. I want to give you guys a little postscript today. Some of you may be curious what's going on with baked chicken. We don't have that many viewers on this show yet. We're still up and coming, but one of our big time viewers is currently a chicken that likes to smoke copious quantities of ganja. So we've got an update from Baked Chicken for all of you out there. Baked Chicken messaged me on Instant Messenger. I tried to explain to him that nobody still uses that anymore, but who am I to argue with Baked Chicken? And he told me that he's currently unemployed and unable to get employment because he applied at Whole Foods and Natural Grocers, and neither of these places would hire him, not because of all the marijuana he smokes, but because he's a genetically modified chicken, and those grocery stores don't want anything to do with genetically modified chicken. They just won't touch it. Natural Grocer says they will not have anything to do with a genetically modified chicken. And so Baked Chicken is looking at his options right now to try to sue because of discrimination. Unfortunately for him, some of the constitutional protections that are out there do not apply to chickens. And, that's unfair. And if you would like to help in assisting with Baked Chicken's legal defense fund, unfortunately I can't give you any information on that, but what you can do is you can go to Twitter and hashtag I support Baked Chicken. We can get a movement going here. Maybe we can enact some social change. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today, guys. Again, I hope this helps you make some tickets, do well on Magic Online, and be mindful of all the poor suffering stoned chickens out there. Peace.